Hi guys, so just starting at number Swift Hall 13 to 18, and this video will only be sent to people who it is appropriate to be sent to. It won't be put anywhere online or anything. So what you can see is the guys have started sand, and they're using a very light grid. You can actually see my hand, it's a very light grid fiber, so they're not doing any damage to the actual structural damage. They're taking off, so it's a little bit chalky. You can see my hand is chalky, but they'll clean that off before they do that. And we're going to fill in here, we're going to fill these joints, we're going to take out the rubber seals and put new ones in. When I say we, I mean them. You can see the rot there. We'll actually get a little hoover and tidy this. Well, I'll make sure they get a little hoover and tidy up this little area in here in the rot, and need to get wood rot wet hardener in there, and then we'll clean these off the end as well. So the guys will, and you can see the guys have covered this area up here to make sure that when they're standing, if they bounce onto the glass, they protect the glass. So if they're standing here and they automatically go in, that they're actually protecting the glass itself. Okay, so just an initial starting today. I'm going to make sure the guys tidy up everything at the end, and weather's it's a little bit windy, the hoist is going to come, and they're probably going to do most of this over the hoist from there on, because there's nowhere for ladders. It wouldn't be appropriate in terms of either quality or safety. So here's the first starting video, and I'll send on pictures as well as that. Thanks guys. So you can see the guys have set up, and they got the machine here to get up to the higher areas. They're putting masking tape on. You can also see the masking tape that they put on is purple, and the reason they're putting on purple colour is because it is non-sticky rather than the other type of masking tape. There's a cheaper masking tape and it's just more sticky, and when the weather elements get behind it, it's very hard to get it off. So that is why the guys are using the purple masking tape. They have the hoist, and then what they're going to do is they're going to cover up the windows like they did down below where we still have this element here, and they're going to cover up above. Then they're going to sand it down, and then they can fill and process it. But once they have it sanded down, then they can take this off, and this is on to protect the windows. Okay, so you can see this here has been sanded back and tape ready, and then we're ready to start to treat the rot. Well, remove the rot, treat the rot, fill the rot, fill in these sections here, fill in the glazing bars, fill back up the profiles, put in new seals as needed, and build it back up, and then also build back up the edges to water seal it as well. Then sand it, and then multiple coats. More coats we give, the better, and we'll be trying to get 4 or 5 coats on this, and that's going to weatherproof it really well. Okay, thanks. So we're starting to do a little bit of light sanding and covering back and putting tape on, and this is just by hand, just to test it before we actually come up with the electric sanders, and the guys will then come back up, and we're going to cover this up as well. So we're going to cover up the cappings. The guys are going to cover up the cappings, the reveals, the down pipes as well, on the returns, and where there's furniture like that there, we'll move that as well. Okay. So far, the lads told me that they've not found any rot up in the fascia board. A little bit of damage there, but that looks like where there was an old bracket, and you can actually see that, because you can actually see the mark where there was an old bracket. And the same down there, brackets have been removed. So thankfully, okay, there's a bit of damage done. We'll take the guys to take care of that, but it's not also as well at the edge. If you look closely at the edge there, right, if you look closely at the edge there, you will see that at some stage this has been repaired. That's not a normal edge profile. This profile should be straight down flat. There's been a repair on that, so we're going to examine that and just see and make sure there's no rot in there, and if there isn't any rot, or if there is, we'll adjust it, but we'll also square that off to take the curvature look away from it. You can see the other one over there is actually totally squared, so I will make sure the guys adjust that as well. Okay, all of this will be cleaned down by the guys and sanded down by the guys as well. We're just down here at the lower section as well. You can see that needs to be a lower section, mid section, that all needs to be the same treatment up there, but the plastic can be put up corrugated sheets, and you can actually see them. This needs to go on the window to protect it. It only needs to be on for the area that is being protected at that time, and obviously some of this residue and dirt has been caused by the guys, but the whole thing will be cleaned down at the end. Just at the next apartment block, you can see right there, how there is water coming out of the gutter. So I would suspect that that is what happened over here, and that's why the gutter was replaced or refixed, and there was obviously some rot coming out and water coming out of the gutter rotting that. So you can see that what we need to do is we need to square it off as I showed before, but the guys also need to go and make sure all of the gutter joints are sealed, and especially the stop ends at both ends are sealed, especially on this end where there is no outlet. You've been taking, so you can see here everything's sanded. We'll get in closer, but I just want to show you from here, covered up. The outside fascia's been done, the inside boards underneath, the soffit's been done, all of the sanding. You can also see up above, what's interesting is you can see right in there, right? You can see there's rot in there, but it's not as extensive up above as it is down below, and the reason for that is there's more water coming down and settling down below than there is up top. So that's why you find that there's elements of the hay, and you can certainly see this one over here is a little bit further gone, but it's not half as far gone down the back. Okay, and you can see here, this area here is not really decayed. This area was where the bracket was, that type of bracket there was, and then it got actually taken away, and then the timber got exposed, and you can see at one stage that was good WBP, waterproof plywood, so we can fill it up, and that's not a problem. Okay, probably with the gutters getting the amount of dust and they've been weathered, probably best to paint these gutters as well to finish it up correctly. Okay, and the gutters themselves are working well, but there is a bit of a backlog over there, so can we go over there and just actually have a look at that? And I know we're not here to fix the gutters, but when you're here, and so you can see over there's an accumulation down the back, so we'll sort that out and see in there. So Ali's just cleaning off all the dust, and then we're going to tape it all up. You've been taking... So you can see here, everything's sanded. We'll get in closer, but I just want to show you from here, covered up. The outside fascia's been done. The inside boards underneath, the soffit's been done. All of the sanding. You can also see up above, what's interesting is you can see right in there, right? You can see there's rot in there, but it's not as extensive up above as it is down below. And the reason for that is there's more water coming down and settling down below than there is up top. So that's why you find that there's elements of decay, and you can certainly see this one over here is a little bit further gone, but it's not half as far gone down the back. Okay, and you can see here, this area here, it's not really decay. This area was where the bracket was, that type of bracket there was, and then it got actually taken away, and then the timber got exposed, and you can see at one stage that was good WBP, waterproof plywood, so we can fill it up, and that's not a problem. Okay, probably with the gutters getting the amount of dust and they've been weathered, probably best to paint these gutters as well to finish it up correctly. Okay, and the gutters themselves are working well, but there is a bit of a backlog over there, so can we go over there and just actually have a look at that? And I know we're not here to fix the gutters, but when you're here, and so you can see over there's an accumulation down the back, so we'll sort that out. You can see in there. Okay, so guys, you can see my hand is up there, right? And there's no wet in my hand. Okay, I'm gonna take that video again. Hi guys, you can see I'm putting my hand up here. Now I am all the way up, so there's a little bit of moisture coming down, a little bit of dirt. It's nothing much, but some point of fixing this, we're going to put wet rot wood hardener on this. We're going to put epoxy in the wet rot wood hardener. There's no rot here, but it's not a bad thing to do, just to make sure there is no rot and it won't come back. Then we'll put epoxy. But up above, you can see this tear. You can see that tear right there, guys. See this? See this tear right there, okay? The water's getting in, and so we need to, as we go along, we need to waterproof these areas here. We need to waterproof this area here to make sure that nothing is dripping, and this is happening and getting inside there. That's why that is occurring. So pretty good thing to see. So we know how to solve it, and we got possibility of this here as well. And this is the intrusion of the end bracket, which is fine, but we still need to then seal this up here to make sure that we waterproof it. And you can also see some other smaller tears, so we need to include that of what we do as well. No point to doing this and then it's going to reoccur. And then you can see this is accumulating. There's a tear down the end, water sitting in, and that's why it's spilled out, and there was a long-term problem just there. You can see it. Okay, so there's no point to just doing effect, we have to do cause as well. So guys, you can see the guys have also sanded the soffit in here as well, all of the timber work in here as well. Okay, so they've done the soffit inside as well as the outside fascia as well. And so we're pretty much ready to start putting on primings, and then we'll put on caulk, and then we'll put on filler, and then we'll put on finish coats, and then we'll seal the edges up and down. So that's the guy's plan. So we're ready to start to prime it. Primer doesn't have to be exactly the same as the finished color, but it has to be within the same family. So best, and we use a water-based product called All Prime, and it does what it says on the tin. You don't have to worry about the etiology of the previous paint. It allows you to paint anything. It's a Dutch product called Ralston. Very good, very durable, water-based, doesn't chip, doesn't allow fungi to attach to it. So super durable product, and their climate will be harsher than ours, so it's well tested. So that is the product we're going to use. We're going to tint the color to appropriately enough the finished color, and then we'll start to caulk and fill any gaps and restore the timbers and get the timber profiles back to what they were as well, and conceal any water joints, and to seal up all these areas here. It's easier to show you there. You can see the smoothness of the lines, and that is because the guys are actually using, I know I said it to you before, but it's actually, you can see they're using a very light grit sandpaper. Okay, so that is why it is. You can see the accumulation of the dirt, and that'll all be tidied down. So the next move is to start to get the primer on. Okay, so talk to you. Thanks, guys. So guys, you can see the guys have also sanded the soffit in here as well, all of the timber work in here as well. Okay, so they've done the soffit inside as well as the outside fascia as well. And so we're pretty much ready to start putting on primings, and then we'll put on caulk, and then we'll put on filler, and then we'll put on finish coats, and then we'll seal the edges up and down. So that's the guy's plan. So we're ready to start to prime it. Primer doesn't have to be exactly the same as the finished color, but it has to be within the same family. So best, and we use a water-based product called All Prime, and it does what it says on the tin. You don't have to worry about the etiology of the previous paint. It allows you to paint anything. It's a Dutch product called Ralston. Very good, very durable, water-based, doesn't chip, doesn't allow fungi to attach to it. So super durable product, and their climate will be harsher than ours, so it's well tested. So that is the product we're going to use. We're going to tint the color to appropriately enough the finished color, and then we'll start to caulk and fill any gaps and restore the timbers and get the timber profiles back to what they were as well, and conceal any water joints, and to seal up all these areas here. All of this needs to be cleaned at the final end. You can see existing paint drips, and you can see existing stain. You can see a whole cocktail of different things. So all of this needs to be cleaned at the end of the process. So listen. And here is a prime example of an area, and you can see guys have filled it, and they're going to flush fill this area here. But the real etiology of damage is in here. So this area here needs to be waterproof, so water can't stay, and then it has to run off. Then by sealing these and sealing these and these, water's got nowhere to go but all the way down and run off. Sorry, I'm up here and somebody's laughing at me. I'm not quite sure why, but we'll figure that one out anyway. So you can see the joints need to be sealed We're going to check all the seals are in good condition, replace anything that isn't in good condition, and then you can see the smoothness of this. The guys have sanded it well, so it's ready for an adhesion. But first they'll have to wipe it down. As you can see my hand, you need to wipe down that dust to actually make sure that the paint's got the best adhesion possible. There's things called follicles and dodicles in paint, and one's a receiver and one's an attacher. So the follicles are the receiver and dodicles are the attachers. So basically they need time to dry to actually bond together, but and they bond within a coat and between coats. But the big thing is to actually give it a clean surface so it can attach to in the first place. Areas like these up against the wall are vulnerable because we need to make sure that this here is sealed, because if it isn't, you got a vulnerability here, and you got a vulnerability here, and you got a vulnerability here coming from here, and this is why there was damage here, which will be sanded off and filled to make it smooth. But you can see that if we don't seal it up, it's just going to be more of the same. This is, you can see with this colouring that the process already started. I'm going to send you on the video now of the wet rot wood hardener being applied, and you can also see little areas there that need to be filled as well. See those little gaps there? They need to be filled too, obviously. Just last thing during each day, just needs to be a little tidy up. Not a huge amount of debris that is occurring, but just last thing every day, there's going to be little elements beyond the normal paint sheet. Obviously some of it not ours, bird, but there's going to be little bits that just need to, with a final hoover all the way at the very end. Okay, thanks. So here is the most important part of the process, the wet rot wood hardener. Wet rot wood hardener. So if you look at where the guys have done the work, you can actually see that this is different and there's something on it, and that something is the wet rot wood hardener. And what it does on a microscopic level, it hardens the fibers. So any fibers that may still have any rot in them are now hardened. It also then acts as a barrier to push out any rot that may possibly try to recome, which won't happen because we're going to water seal it. And you can, once again, you can see the telltale signs where it's been applied. There it is there. Okay. And you can see the same up here. You can see the shine on it. Guys, please. And you can see the shine on it there, okay, where it's actually being applied. And once again, you can see the same there as well. You can just see the different color and texture where it's being applied. And down here, it looks like damp, but it's far from it, quite the opposite actually. So that, and you can see here a joint where the glazing bar needs, you can see as well here where there's the glazing bar over time has laterally moved away from the frame. So we need to fill this up as well with flexible filler, and that way as it moves and being banged, it's most likely occurring because we're near the door and it's getting banged, but we need to seal it up in such a way then that as it moves with the whole frame and it's integrated, and then it's watertight as well. Hi there, so I can just see we're looking at plates and the existing plates on the existing door looked like they were an individual plate, and then they were then the handle was put on top of them, and the locking mechanism was then added in. Well, it was so just around here somebody drilled a hole, got the right template, and then put the lock through. So probably got to do the same thing ourselves, and just need to find a guy to do that type of work. Okay. So the measurement on the door is 3 foot there, and that's the measurement I think that the kick plate should be the whole door itself, because otherwise, as I said in the earlier video, it just doesn't make sense, and it'll protect the whole door itself. Okay, so source that. Alright, so just on site now, and you can see we have primers on it, and we're ready to start to put top coats on it, and there's going to be a little bit more minor repairs just on the lower level, just to look after nail holes and just any little bit of indentation there, just stuff that's very, very visible on an aesthetic level. You can actually see there, that actually might be a little bit of rust. So a little bit of rust inhibitor, and just tidy up some of these areas in and around. So need to get the kick plate. I think it's best that the kick plate is the whole length of the door as much as possible. Sometimes they only come to here, but that doesn't make sense because people will be coming in and kicking it here. So this may be a custom kick plate to actually get it right. So we're going to get the guys to do caulking the filling on an aesthetic level at this, and then after that it's about getting the RAL colour and then starting to do finish coats. So that's where we currently are on Monday. I think it's the 2nd, is it? Yeah, I think it's the 2nd. Okay, talk to you. Thanks guys, bye. So back here, now we can see the change of colour. So we've gone for something, gone for a change of colours, and away the other one was being too light. So you can see the guys are coming on down, getting top coats on. They'll clean the glazing bars after they get the top coat on. So. See the overhang done as well, a little bit on the reveal still to be done. So we'll just work away getting initial coats of top coats on, and then we've got to resolve a couple of small little issues down here with the strips, and so we'll do that later. Okay, thanks guys. That's just today's. We got to fill the gaps at the side and just make sure we're good. Okay, talk to you later. Thanks. Give you an update later on. Thank you. So it's just beginning to get a little bit wet, so the guys are going to stop, and we're not going to take any risks on it. We're just going to leave it. So it's fine. It may subside. Forecast said it's going to come down a little bit, and then okay, and then really heavy later on. But there's no point in taking costs or taking chances. Okay, so we're going to stop now. Back tomorrow or the next day and finish up. Sunday morning, and the guys just having a break now. So we're back, and they have started to put on, and you can see the sealant at the edge there. You can see it's not there, but you can see up, it's there all the way up. So they waterproofed that, and they're going to start to work their way down from the top, take off the paint, clean up the windows, look after glazing bars, and make sure that these areas in those ones are sealed, and then paint over the glazing bars so everything is as it was. Okay, so you can see they need to tidy up and just make everything waterproof, take off the masking tape, clean up the windows, and then work their way down. Okay, so the big thing today is just really to show you guys the step that all of this up was sealed. That edge there is sealed, so now it's watertight. Okay, talk to you later guys. So we're nearly there, but just a couple of things need to be tidied up. Need a new handle, need to clean the likes of this here. Just also need then to the glazing bars look really clean, but we need to have one more go with it. And it's just tiny little bits, there. But we're a final touch-up stage. Just tiny little bits there as well. So we're at final touch-up stage. we just need to do it, clean off the glazing bars a little bit better, get some of those lines a little bit straighter, but it's essentially touch-up work. And you can see the base there as well. Maybe a little bit of filler in. Well, that's clear silicone, so I don't have a problem with that. So we're pretty good, but it's just a tiny little bit of cleaning, tiny little bit of making lines straight that needs to be done, especially on the lower levels. We kind of miss it on the upper levels, tiny little bits. So, tiny little bits. I will be on site when the final bit is being done, and I'll go through it with my hammer. So there'll be a little bit of play around with the new handle in comparison to this as well. Okay, so firstly there, just tiny little bits. Okay, talk to you guys. Thanks. Bye.